Anonymous Watch Guy here with a full review video. Quick wrist check. Wearing the G-Shock Frogman I picked up here recently. Awesome watch. Really liking that one. Today we're going to take a full review look at the Citizen Tsuyosa. I've had this watch for a couple weeks now. Have really enjoyed my time with it. It has definitely gotten its fair share of wrist time. And it's definitely going to be a favorite in the collection for a while. I think it is pretty awesome. I think it's definitely a solid release for Citizen. And I would like to see more stuff from more automatic watches from Citizen in the U.S. A lot of what you see in the U.S. from Citizen is Quartz and Eco Drive. I love Eco Drive. I'm a big fan of Eco Drive watches, actually. But it's nice to see an automatic release from Citizen. So let's take a look at the specs on this watch again. This is a 40 millimeter watch. Being that it's an integrated bracelet style watch, you're going to have some funky measurements. So I measured from lug to lug here, basically the case, just under 45 millimeters at 44.8. Being that it's an integrated bracelet again, the bracelet drops down pretty nicely, but in this mode, to the end of the first link of the bracelet on each side, I measured 49.5. So still under 50 millimeters, total lug-to-lug length essentially there, including that first link of the bracelet, which isn't bad. You get a funky 9.1 millimeter lug opening, again being that integrated bracelet design. 22 millimeters in width up here at the top. It does taper down to 18 millimeters, then back to 20 millimeters at the clasp. I measured it at 11.8 millimeters thick. That does not include the Cyclops. It is a push-pull crown tucked away down here at roughly the 4 o'clock position. That's something we'll talk about as the video progresses here. It does give you 50 meters water resistance, so not a lot of water resistance on this one. Like to see it be at 100 meters. That would be one of my complaints with the watch. You do have a sapphire crystal. Not sure if it has any anti-reflective treatment on it. It doesn't really appear to, but it's a decent crystal on there. It is a sapphire crystal. Gives you a beautiful shot of that sunray style yellow dial. Really love the dial on this one. It's very dynamic in person. Really beautiful, kind of gold color dial in different lights. It has really nice light play. I think it is really, really good. Really love the dial on this watch. This is running an in-house movement, essentially, the Miyota caliber 8210. Miyota owned by Citizen. But it's a 21 jewel movement. Does have hacking and hand winding. Don't know the power reserve on it. I've not been able to find that. But probably roughly 40 hours on that would be my assumption. That is what it seems to be to me anyway. But a beautiful watch. Again, the star of the show is that dial. Love that sunray yellow dial. You've got your Citizen logo printed on there beneath the 12 o'clock position. Automatic printed above the 6. You do have your date window at the 3 o'clock position with the Cyclops. Pretty good legibility on the Cyclops on this one at various angles. It does a really nice job of being able to see the date. I'm not a big fan of Cyclopses, but I think this one's done pretty well. You've got double batons at your 12 o'clock position and at your 6 o'clock position, and then a single baton at the other hour indicators. They do appear to be applied. The watch does have Lume. It's not the world's greatest Lume, but it is not a dive watch. We will check that out. You do have a stick-style handset done in high polish, and just a high-polished seconds hand as well. Very clean look, very legible, easy to read at a glance, and a beautiful dial. Again, that sunray yellow finish. I think the yellow and the teal version of this are clearly the winners for me. On this model, I have so many other kind of teal or Tiffany blue style watches. The yellow's the one I went with for that reason, is it's something different in my personal collection. And really, it's personally my favorite. I prefer it to the teal on this model. It is a nicely finished watch for the price point. These come in at less than $500 US, at $450 US. But you've got some high polish on the side of the case. You've got a nice bevel running along the side there, transitioning to some brushing, some vertical brushing on the top of the case. But the finishing is definitely on par with the price point. I think it is a nice looking watch. Nice bevel, again, for a sub $500 watch. Fixed stainless steel, high polished bezel there. Watch is all 316L stainless steel. The bracelet is better than expected at this price point for me. It is kind of a president style bracelet with some brushing on the outer side, or appears to be, or it could be, I don't know, less polished. The center link definitely appears to be more highly polished than the outside of the bracelet, but a really not too jangly of a bracelet. Better than a Seiko bracelet at this price point anyway. It is sized with split pins, you can see there, with the arrows on the back of the bracelet. I don't have an issue with that at this price point. And I think overall, the bracelet for a sub $500 watch is pretty solidly constructed, and it wears very comfortably. The clasp is a little bit cheap, in my opinion. You do have 3 micro adjustments. Not an issue. It's not a dive watch. You won't have an issue getting it sized to fit your wrist appropriately. It is signed with the Citizen logo. It is a double pusher, but it is just a stamped, pressed clasp. It would be nice. I'd pay another $50 for the watch for a nicer clasp. I would prefer a nice fold over to a butterfly on this. I think it's nice that it's not a butterfly. You can get a better fit than on a butterfly clasp, perhaps. But the clasp does feel like it's less than the rest of the watch. On the back here, you get a good shot of that 8210 Miyota movement done in a gold tone. Definitely like the look, especially on this yellow version of the watch. You've got your gold on the front and your gold on the back. I think that works well together. But a decent looking movement from Citizen. Got the branding on the rotor there. You've got a spec sheet kind of running around the outside of the case there. Nothing fancy, but it does give you a nice shot of the movement, which is always good to see. Overall, a very nicely finished watch, again, for the price point. Really punches above its weight. Again, sub $500 watch. You don't see a lot of those anymore, really. I think there's definitely some value for money. Or I guess you do see sub $500 watches from major brands, but they are getting fewer and further between, and the quality seems to be less than some other, especially micro brands or Chinese factory brands. Not on this Tsuyosa. The quality is definitely there. It's a very nicely finished watch. That dial is really something special. I think it looks fantastic on wrist. I think the bracelet is very good for the price point. I will do a comparison between this and the Tissot PRX, an integrated bracelet shootout video. But I am a big fan of the Tsuyosa. I think Citizen did a great job on this watch. Again, if I had any complaints, really, it would be that clasp and the crown operation. The crown operation is a little bit difficult, especially if you have bigger fingers. I operate the crown just to wind it just like this. Don't try to grab it. You're not going to be able to grab it, but you can wind it just by running your hand across the back of it. Pulling it out is a little bit difficult. So the crown operation, not the greatest clasp, but other than that, I think it is an awesome watch. Let's take a look at the Lume, and then we'll see what it looks like on my 7.5-inch wrist. Here's the Lume on the watch. You can see it glows pretty nicely. There is some Lume on each one of the hands, and all the indices glow pretty well. You do have a nice green glow. It's not the world's greatest lume, but it's not terrible either. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist, and this watch is just a dream to wear. The bracelet is very comfortable. On the wrist, you can see why it gets some comparisons to like the Rolex Oyster Perpetual when they came out with all those colors a few years ago. Definitely the colors, just the way it looks on the wrist. Really awesome looking watch. There's your down the barrel shot. Again, don't let the integrated bracelet design scare you away. This is going to work for you if you have a smaller wrist. Looks just absolutely awesome on wrist. That yellow dial is stunning. The Citizen Tsuyosa, I think it's a hit. Definitely recommend checking it out. If you like the video, give me a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.